Hello, welcome back to another video from the Retired Farm Boy channel. My name is Jeff. Today's video is I want to talk about some things that we don't want to forget about once we get into retirement. It's so easy to get into to where we're just doing what we want to do and stop paying attention to some of the things that got us here to begin with. So today's video is titled, Don't Lose Sight of These Things in Retirement. So the first one I want to talk about is don't give up on budgeting. Budgeting is something that we all did before we retired to figure out how much we were needing to spend in retirement as part of our planning process. So just don't forget about that once you retire. I know it takes, for my wife and I anyway, it takes us an hour or two at the end of the month to go back during that month and separate all of our expenses and try to post them and put them in our budget spreadsheet to see how we did this month. And so I know it takes a little bit of time, but don't get lazy enough in retirement to where you don't sit down and take care of that. It gives you, sorry about that, fly flew in front of me. It gives you the peace of mind that we all need in retirement, knowing where our money's going. So that's a very important thing to not lose sight of that habit once you retire. Don't knee-jerk react to your investment portfolio as it fluctuates up and down in the short term. So don't try to play the stock market, in other words. Stick to your plan. If you've been retired for a while, it's been working. If it hasn't been, you've adjusted to it to make sure that it gets back on track. So, but don't get caught up in these up and down swings that we've seen a lot this year or last few years, where it can take a serious drop and come right back, within a week, it's back to where it was. It's really crazy how it goes up and down so much. So just try not to get too, worked up about those kind of things. The next one, don't fall into a cycle of maintaining a credit card balance. Now, we all tried our best to get out of debt before we retired. So just make sure that you don't, start forgetting about, your plan. Please don't carry a credit card balance. My wife and I have a credit card, but we pay it off fully at the end of every month. That's okay to do it that way, but don't get in the habit of carrying over charges that you can't pay for. That's a slippery slope there that you don't want to really get started down. The next one, don't allow debt to linger. So some of us may have brought debt into our retirement, but we had a plan, again, as part of our overall plan on how we were going to accomplish paying those debts off. So when you get into retirement, don't stick to that plan you had of getting them paid for and continue on that. Don't let those kind of things linger longer than they were supposed to, because all it's going to do is take away from your fulfilling retirement. Don't drain your emergency fund. This is one of those things that it's easy to lose sight when you've got 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an emergency fund, or maybe even more than that. It's hard to see that money sitting there month after month, and you could go do this or you could go do that with it. Maybe you want to do that from time to time, but make sure you have a way to replenish it back. Don't start draining that emergency fund, because you'll look up one day and there won't be much in there, and then when something does happen, you're going to have a tough time recovering from it. Watch your withdrawal rate. Now, this is one where you got to look for that sequence of return to make sure that you're not pulling too much out of your withdrawal rate. So as I've communicated in an earlier video of mine, my wife and I have a plan of taking about 5.5% of our retirement funds each month to live on. Now that's the 4% rule is the godsend out there, right? That you sort of ensures that you won't run out of money for 30 years if you stick with that. So we're obviously going over that. So there may be a sequence of return there a year where the stock market just takes a huge drop, and we may need to adjust our withdrawal rate down to make sure that we're not pulling too much out of our retirement funds as they continue to fall. Now, it could work the other way in reverse, to where it goes up tremendously and maybe you want to take a little bit more, but just make sure that you're paying attention enough to what the stock market is doing, good or bad, in each individual year, so that you just don't run out of funds or diminish your funds down too quickly. Don't just go out there and say I'm going to take 5.5% like me and never think about it again and just continue to get that forever. You might come up with a big surprise. So hopefully these few little tips here are things that you'll pay attention to, and don't lose sight of them. I know all these things were covered in your plan that you had for retirement, so just stay true to your plan and you'll be just fine. So until next time, this is Jeff the Retired Farm Boy signing out. Thank you.